So, thank you all for coming to the webinar today on the Connecticut Geodata portal. So we're going to be exploring today kind of a brief overview of the Connecticut Geodata portal and what it is and how and why we made it very briefly. And then we are going to be passing it. I'll be passing the mic along to my colleague here from Esri, Krithika. Um, who will kind of go into some of the more details on how to use the platform and how to navigate and access the data on it. So with that, I'll start by introducing myself. I am Alfredo Herrera. I am the Geographic Information Officer for the state of Connecticut. We are, the GIS office is housed within OPM, and we are charged with doing many things GIS and kind of making sure that everything kind of goes the way we all would like it to. I'll pass it along to Krithika for a second to introduce herself, and then we will move right along.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kritika Kantraj, and I'm a solution engineer with Esri. I work out of the Boston office, and I support state governments in New England and in New York. And in my role, I sort of listen to business challenges and help you apply the Esri products to solve those challenges. And I also collaborate with state organizations to provide these kind of informational presentations and stuff. Today, I'll be providing you the presentation on how to search for data, utilize your data, and make the most of the Connecticut Geodata portal. Thank you. And back to Alfredo.
Thank you. So first, a little bit of background. As many of you are aware, the Connecticut GIS office was established in legislation back in 2021, and the GIS office itself started back in January of 2022 when I started. We have since grown to have a staff of 4, but soon to be back up to 5. And the biggest thing is with that is we were also giving a set of responsibilities. First and foremost, GIS coordination, supporting economic development, outreach and training, um, uh, providing guidance and standards, data processing, broadband mapping. But importantly to this particular conversation is we were given a mandate for open data, in particular for the geospatial data sets and data that the state agencies all kind of create or have need for and things like that. So because of that, we created what we are calling the Connecticut Geodata Portal. So it is a ArcGIS hub-based GIS clearinghouse built in collaboration with Esri. They helped us build the initial prototype and get us up off the ground, and we've been kind of developing that site incrementally ever since, adding new data, adding new partners, etc. So the Geodata portal shares partner agency data as well as our own to make sure that it's all available. And it's really meant to be as a companion to the Open Data Portal. Open Data Portal is very good at non-spatial and tabular data, but there were some limitations with it with regard to geospatial data. Because of that, we decided to leverage the Esri ArcGIS Hub platform to kind of make something that could share the geospatial data in its native format and allow those users that had the capability to use that data more effectively. The site has now been live for a little over a year. It went up in November of 2022. And like I said before, we've been making incremental changes and adding data sets, not least of which is, the parcel data set, which I'm sure Krithika will cover later. And part of how we got there is we kind of, looked at everybody else. We kind of looked at all other 50 states and saw what they had, and we kind of took a lot of lessons learned and decide and kind of use that as a guideline of how to make what we make. But a lot of the data that is in there isn't necessarily belong to the GIS office or OPM. A lot of it comes from Yukon Clear with the CT Eco website. It comes from Deep, thanks to the efforts of Stuart Land, and DOT, thanks to the efforts of Greg Ciparelli. And some data comes from the Open Data Portal, but that getting that data back into the Geodata Portal is a little bit trickier, but still possible. Like we said, like I said earlier, the stated goal is to make sure that the data providing geospatial data in its native format so that people can make the most out of it. One of the things that we want to do is we wanted it to mirror the functionality and the capability of the Open Data Portal, because that program has been very successful. And we also wanted to create kind of like a no wrong door situation. So no matter where you go to access the data, you can find what you need. One of the things that, we launched with about 200 to 300 data sets right out of the gate. And that was mostly because we collaborated very deeply and intensively with the aforementioned partners in the other agencies, including and not limited to and including Pauline Zaldonis from our own DAPA unit here in OPM, to make sure that the things that we were consistent with the Open Data Portal as well. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Krithika to start talking about the portal itself. And I'll stop sharing my screen here so we can transition to there. So take it away, Krithika.
Thank you, Alfredo. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. And just for bandwidth reasons, sometimes my internet gives up. So I'm not going to share my video with you, but hopefully you can all hear me all right. Can you see my screen, Alfredo? Is that
Yes.
visible? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So as Alfredo mentioned, the Connecticut Geodata Portal primarily aims to provide data practitioners with various sectors and industries in Connecticut with high quality geospatial information. The data sets within the Geodata Portal are organized according to initiatives from different contributing organizations, and each providing their own authoritative data to this portal. There are multiple ways or options to search for and filter your data that you need. You can explore data by clicking on the different categories. Like for example here, imagery, all imagery data sets are grouped into one category, elevation data, land cover, broadband, and many more. You can also enter a keyword in the search bar and search for the data that you want, or you can navigate to the data library to browse through the available data sets. And we'll walk through each of the different options today. So let's begin by entering a keyword to initiate a search. So for instance, let's say that I want to analyze the distribution of home values in the city of Hartford. And for that, I want to obtain parcel information for the city of Hartford. So I can start by typing in parcel. And immediately what you see is I'm provided with suggestions to explore here right within the dropdown, or I can hit the enter button. And when I hit the enter button, it takes me directly into the data library, and it provides me results that match my keyword. And you can see all the resulting options here. I have about a total of 9 of them, and each of the options that have been displayed here has its own card. So each card provides the name or the title of the dataset, the owning organization or the source of the dataset. You have a quick summary or description that provides a little bit more information about that dataset. The type of the dataset over here is a feature service. There are many different types of datasets that are available through the portal. The last date that it was updated on, the relevant tags for this dataset that have been set, and the categories also that have been set. The Connecticut Geodata Portal contains a total of 223 items, as you can see here, and 170 of those are raw data entries, including both vector and raster formats. And there are about 30 applications and maps. And we can further refine our search for the parcel layer that we want to utilize by using the filters on the left panel. So you can filter down by location. So if you zoom in into the map, only the results that fall within that extent are going to be displayed. You could look for and filter by the type of the layer that you're looking for, such as feature service, image service, web mapping application, etc. You could come down and search by the source or the owning organization. Like for example, here, you can look for data sets that are made available by DEEP, by CT Eco, by the state of Connecticut, etc. You can also look for certain tags that the data sets have. You can look for categories of data, the license type that the data has, and also by the last date that the data set was updated. So for my focus, I want to acquire feature layers that are of a feature layer type. So I'm going to go up here and filter down by feature service. So as you can see, my results have narrowed down to 7. And to refine my search, I can further go down and filter based on the owning organization. And I want a data set that's owned by the state of Connecticut. So when I do that, you can see that I'm down to 1 data set. So what this does is I am able to refine my search and simplify my selection process and get down to the data set that I'm looking for specifically really quickly. So let's go ahead and open up this layer for exploration and focus on how we can obtain parcel information for the city of Hartford. So given that this data set contains 1.2 million records, it's too large to be visualized directly on the map. We can sort of zoom in into the map, and as you zoom in, you'll notice that the parcels become available when I'm at that level. I can also visualize this data in a table format and view a quick sample of the data to look at what the attribute names are and also what the data set looks like. You can close out this table. And on the left panel here, I'm able to see additional metadata for this specific layer, such as the summary, the ability to download it, to see the full details of the data set, and when the data was updated, how the data has been shared, etc. There is an option to download the full data set. So this data set can be downloaded, but I have to know that it would take about 20 minutes to download the entire data set due to the data set size. If you want to download a specific location or a subset of this data, we can do that by applying a filter. So the blue ribbon right next to the metadata allows me to filter the attributes based on a query. So like here, let's say that I want to download data just for the city of Hartford. So I type in Hartford, and as I start typing it in, it provides me suggestions. I can select Hartford as the type of data that I want to download. And as you'll see here, I'm narrowed down to about 19,000 records. Now you can download these just by going into the download option in the blue ribbon. And as you can see, the data is available to download in various formats, including CSV, shapefile, GeoJSON, file geodatabase, feature collection, Excel, GeoPackage, and SQLite geodatabase. Now remember, to download only the filtered data set, you would need to toggle the filter layers here. If you do not toggle it, then you would be downloading the entire data set. If you enable the toggle filters here, you would be downloading only the filtered data set. So let's go ahead and download the file geodatabase. It should not take too much time to download just a subset of the data. So as you can see here, I can go ahead and save it. And I can utilize it in any other GIS application of your choice, or you can bring it into ArcGIS Online as well. Now, since I have downloaded this data set, I can open that exact same data set in ArcGIS Pro or in another application. Just for an example, I'd like to show you that, when I open it up in ArcGIS Pro, what it looks like. So right here, I'm in ArcGIS Pro. I can go hit the Add button and add the data. And right here, I can navigate to the location of my data. It's a file geodatabase. So when I open it and add that data, you can see that all the parcels for the city of Hartford have been added to my ArcGIS Pro map. Now, I previously downloaded the same data set in Excel, and I want to show you what that looks like. So as you can see here, you would get all the data in a tabular format, except the spatial information. So you have all the attributes, you have all the records for each of the data points belonging in Hartford. You would get information such as the shape area and the shape length, but not the geometry itself. So close in out of here. And that as well. So remember that I have made a copy of the data set to use it in my GIS application of choice. So when I open ArcGIS Pro and add it in, that data is actually a copy of the data, and it's not a live reference to the data set that is living in the Geodata portal. In the blue ribbon, there are some additional useful features, such as the option to favorite this data set. If you find yourself using this data set regularly, favoriting it allows you to easily access this data inside your ArcGIS Online contents. Moreover, you would have the capability to share this data set as well right from here, either in any social media of your choice, such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or you could also copy the link as a short URL and share it with anyone else. There is also the convenience of translating this entire page into a different language. So I can choose a language of my choice, and the entire page will be translated, as you can see here, the options to download the data, the information itself about the data, the summary, so that it's easy and accessible for diverse users. Switching that back to, to English here. All right, so let's navigate back to the home page of the Geodata portal and explore another data set. So I'm in search of elevation data right now. So I want to explore the category of elevation data. So if you know that the category that you're looking for is elevation data and a specific data set within the elevation category, you can easily, click on one of those categories, and it takes you directly into the data library and provides you the different options that have been tagged as and categorized as elevation. Specifically, I am interested in a digital elevation model, which is of a type of image service. And I again want to download that information, the DEM, only for the Hartford region. So I can go ahead and apply some filters here. So going down, you will see that there are a bunch of layers. Some of them are feature layers, some of them are image services, but I can really drill down into my feature set and my results and look for image services. And I can also again search by a source. If I'm looking for CT Eco, I can data sets from CT Eco. I can drill down and look at those data sets specifically. So now I have found the data set that I want, which is the DEM for the entire region, which is CT 2016 elevation. So I'm going to go ahead and select that option. And you'll notice that when I select that option, I am provided with download options, either as a PNG, as a JPEG, or a TIFF. Additionally, I have the option to download a specific subset of this data set by defining the extent on the map. So for example, if I just want to download the area for Hartford, I can search for Hartford here, and it's going to zoom me into that specific location there. So again, I can go ahead and download it, but again, remember to toggle the filter so that it's only going to download the data for the filtered extent. So I can go ahead and hit download, and it's going to provide me the download option, and I can provide it a name, and it's downloaded. So again, now if I open up a GIS application such as ArcGIS Pro, I will be able to add that DEM data directly into my map by navigating to the data set location and adding that data. And as you can see here, I've only gotten a subset of the data set to be used within my GIS application. Now, the next part of my demonstration will concentrate on utilizing data directly from the portal, eliminating the need to create local copies. This approach ensures that when you integrate your data into your desktop and GIS applications, you are always accessing the most current version. And consequently, when the data's owning organization updates the data set, there's no need for you to modify or update your application. It would automatically reflect the updated data. For this demonstration, my goal is to identify and list out the protected open spaces in proximity to a specific area of interest. So we'll revisit the data library up here to search for data sets on protected open spaces. So I navigate to the data library in the ribbon, and then I can type in protected open spaces, and I'm provided with multiple options, and I can select the one that I am really looking for. So after opening that data set, I can view the details of the data set, and I realize that there are two layers within that data set, the protected open space view, the protected open space phase 1 are two layers within this data set. I can go ahead and choose one of my choice and start exploring it. As you can see here, you're provided with a similar experience as you saw with the parcel layer. So all data sets that are feature services, image services are provided with the same view at first, but when you go into the full details view of the page is when you are able to look at the complete summary and also explore the attributes in much more detail here. And some of the attributes will also provide quick statistics about the data. So for example, here, the OS type provides quick statistics about who owns the area or the different protected open spaces. And you're also provided with numerous ways to utilize this data in real time. And that is in the left corner of the page up here. So for example, if I want to go ahead and create a web map using this data, I can go ahead and use this dropdown and add this data directly into an ArcGIS map viewer in ArcGIS Online if you have that. So when I open it up that way, what happens is you are provided with that layer right within a web map inside ArcGIS Online. So right now, as you can see here, I am signed in into my ArcGIS Online organization. If you are not signed in, you'll be provided with an option to sign in the top right corner. And you can save this layer right within your web map by hitting the Save button. So I can go ahead and save this. And I'm going to save it. So once the web map has been saved, you can utilize this, this layer in different applications. So like I mentioned in the beginning of this demonstration, my goal is to identify and list out the protected open spaces in a certain proximity. If I want to create an application that does that, I can go ahead and do that by using the Create App button here. To do an instant app, experience builder, a story map, or a dashboard, there are multiple options to create a web map from here. So I have taken the initiative to already create that application, and I just want to show it to you, and I'm not going to walk you through the process of doing that. So for example, let me get that out of the way. I'm sorry about that. It's just the controls are getting in my way. Okay. All right. So now you can see that web application where I am able to look for a specific place on the map. And when I do that, I can increase the radius of my search. And what I get is the list of open spaces in that specific area. There are a total of 78 in the first layer and 21 in the second layer that has been listed here. So that's just an example of how you are able to take the information in the Geodata portal, create a web map, and then an application as well, using the data as a live feed into your application. So now going back to the full details page of the protected open space layer, there are other options that you can use to make use of this layer inside applications. You can create a story map. You can also use the API resources available here. The developers who are interested in querying this layer for use in their applications will be able to find the direct links for the geo service and the GeoJSON. And these are formats that can be used in your developer tools. The API Explorer here facilitates the creation of advanced queries through an interactive graphical user interface, as you can see here. It allows you to apply filters based on attributes. So you can apply a filter such as the town. And as I type in these details, you'll see that this query URL is going to keep getting updated. I can select what fields I want to include in my query. So I can remove some fields that are not needed. I can go down here and also specify spatial inputs, such as the extent in which my data needs to be in. So for example, I can provide an envelope, and I can do that by using an extent on the map. So I can really zoom in into a specific area of interest. Let's say Hartford is the region that I'm interested in. I can apply it, and you can see that the geometry or the extent, the envelope is been specified already here using an interactive experience. I can also specify the output options, change the output spatial reference if needed as well. And to test that query, I can use the get response. And you'll notice that you see the JSON of what would be returned. And what the developer could do is copy this URL from the clipboard and utilize this specific query in a code block. So furthermore, the About page in the Connecticut Geodata portal offers some resources to enable developers to effectively utilize the geospatial data within their own developer tools. As you can see here, there are many options and links to many options if you're interested in using the API resources from this portal. So going back to the full details of the protected open space layer, let's explore some other options here to utilize the data. The View Data Source option allows users to examine the REST endpoint of the dataset. The URL of the REST endpoint can be directly copied and incorporated it into ArcGIS Online, ArcGIS Enterprise, or ArcGIS Pro, or in fact in any other GIS application of your choice. To demonstrate how to add this URL in ArcGIS Pro, I'm simply going to copy this URL and bring it into ArcGIS Pro. So I can open ArcGIS Pro here, going to hide the existing layers in my data, in my map, and then use the option to add from path. And paste the URL. And it recognizes that it is of a type of an ArcGIS web service. And I can go ahead and add that. So as you can see here, the protected open space layer view has been added to my map. It's important to note that this layer is added as a live reference and it is not a copy of the data. And what that means is that, whenever data is updated by the data owner, you are getting the most up-to-date information in your map right here. And you can also utilize this data just like the way you utilize this data, utilize any other layer within the software. You can change the styling of this layer. You can perform analysis using this layer. You can create maps and do many more things. The only thing that you cannot do in this data is the ability to edit the data itself. So going back to the full details page of the protected open space layer, some additional things that you can view from this page are being able to view the metadata of the layer, which provides additional information in a specific metadata format, and also going back again and looking at the data in ArcGIS Online. So when you open out this data in ArcGIS Online, it would take you to the item details page in ArcGIS Online, and you can inspect the data here, as well as copy the URL, the REST endpoint from here as well. So the last section of my presentation here is going to showcase an application that has been developed by the Department of Transportation, designed to specifically look at the roadway classification and the characteristic maps and the dashboards. And this application was independently created by the Department of Transportation. However, the same data sets are accessible through the Connecticut Geodata portal, and it can be employed to develop applications tailored to your own specific needs. So you can go into the Geodata portal and look for the specific data set, and you'd be able to open it up and explore each of the individual layers and bring those layers into your web map or any other GIS application of your choice. So that is the end of my presentation here. I quickly wanted to bring up a survey that would enable you to provide feedback on the information that you saw in today's webinar. Please feel free to take some time to go into this survey and provide your feedback. I'm also going to put in the link in the chat window as well. And I'm going to turn it back to Alfredo and open it up for discussions.
Yeah, thank you, Krithika. So I guess before we open it up for discussion, I just want to say that if any of you have any questions about how to use the data on the Geodata portal or want to contribute data to the Geodata portal and you're not already one of the organizations that are contributing, please feel free to reach out to us in the GIS office. We have, at the moment, they're not quite fully written out, but we do have procedures in place to get the data integrated and federated and published through it. And And I will say you don't have to have all of, like your own ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise already configured and set it up. Makes it easier, but it's absolutely not necessary. We can, if you have data that is in GIS format and does need to be shared, reach out to myself or Carl Zimmerman, who's on the call, and we can help you get that data up on the Geodata portal. And one other note is that we did establish um, federation with the open data portal. So everything that appears in the Geodata portal automatically gets shown through the open data portal. We just haven't quite cracked the nut of going the other direction yet. So with that, I will open it up to any and all questions. Um, if you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand or just unmute and go ahead and ask or put it in the chat. All right. Oh, yep. Simon Levesque, go ahead.
Hey, Alfredo, I just wanted to ask, when there's new kind of big ticket items like aerial imagery or maybe road data, is there going to be like an update sent out by your office to
Yes.
listserv?
Yeah, so we will be leveraging the interagency working group Teams channel. We will be for example, like we just released the parcel data in the newsletter. Those kinds of updates will always be included in the newsletter. We will make sure when there are big announcements like that, we will not make it a secret.
Great, great. And what types of data go out there? Could you give some more examples? Just, I'm curious.
So some of the data that we are kind of thinking on publishing soon is, for example, point address information. We are still developing that data set, but that data set is going to be coming. Eventually, building footprints for every structure in the state will be coming, as will updated imagery and elevation data, contours, all of those kinds of things.
That's great. Thank you, Alfredo.
And additionally, like if other agencies have like a kind of like headliner kind of data set that they are publishing or announcing or just, developed and is coming out, we will also make it a point to share that information. A good example of this would be the State Historic Preservation Office recently published a cultural resource viewer. And with our assistance, we got that up, and we've been helping to announce those data sets, and we highlight certain data sets and applications on the homepage of the Geodata portal as well. Yes, the Geodata portal should work regardless of whether you are on the VPN or not. It may be a little bit slower because your network traffic is going through another step, but because it is a public platform, it works regardless. Any additional questions? Binu, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much. This is going to be a really useful resource for all of us. How is this going to interact with CT Eco?
So CT Eco contributes to the Geodata portal. CT Eco going forward will be predominantly raster-based data, so imagery and elevation like DEMs and contours and things like that. This portal is meant to be the source for vector data, so discrete points, lines, and polygons, building footprints, parcels, things like that. But that being said, all of that information is still available through CT Eco and through the Geodata portal because we've established the federation so that all of that data comes through.
Thank you.
So to answer Karen's question about the date updated, yeah, that is more like the updated upload date. We can investigate to see if there's like a better way of kind of making that more clear, but for right now, yeah, that is essentially the upload date. Or if the data set was updated and we made changes to it, you would see that date change there as well to reflect those updates. So a good example of this would be, say, some of the bridge data from DOT gets updated at a periodic interval. When you see the updated date, that is the date of when it was last updated. Anyone else? All right. And with that, I guess we can wrap it up a little bit early. Thank you all for your time. And like I said before, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Carl, or just use the general opm.giso@ct.gov email. We will definitely answer all of your questions as we can. And yeah, look forward to talking to and working with all of you. Hey, Matt, go ahead.